DETV Sports Update is powered by DART, Delaware's transit service. Moving forward.
What's up, Delaware? Welcome into DETV on a Monday evening. We are back to talk up some Week 4 recaps, some big news in the NBA as well, and then we'll get into our Monday Night Football preview. So a lot on the show today, and as always, joined by the crew. Jason McCall back, ready to go on a Monday. He's rocking the Orioles. Again, no wild card needed for the Orioles this year. They'll get to wait, rest a little bit, and see who they play a little bit later on this weekend. But Jason, how you feeling? Did you have to get on a plane at all this weekend, or did you hang out locally? Where in the world was Jason?
Where in the world began on Thursday evening at the Met in Philly. You know, seeing Tony reunion tour. You know, first time in 25 years, so it was definitely top 5 all time for me concert-wise. And Friday was Drew Hill at Dover Downs, and I got a chance to get on stage with Drew Hill for a few minutes. That was quite the experience. Got a chance to take some pictures with a few of the members and hit the little park height strut, you know, for everybody knows what the dance is. But all in all, a great weekend, you know. And go O's, 101 wins, AL East division champs.
Division champs, how's that sound?
You heard it, division champs. The baby birds are here.
It's even better when the Yankees aren't in the playoffs.
Say that again.
So it's better than the Yankees are at home again.
There you go.
Apologize for all our New York fans out there, but definitely feeling that. And Jason, no invite for me and Matt to any of your concerts over the weekend. What's going on, man? It was Delaware's bye week. I had a free Saturday. Matt, we welcome back Matthew Maurer. Matt, how you doing? Big weekend, especially in terms of the NBA. I was a little shell-shocked earlier in the week with the whole Damian Lillard news, and then Drew Holiday news followed shortly after that. And I can tell you one thing, if there's one loser in all of this, it's the Philadelphia 76ers, but I'm sure we'll talk about that here in a little bit. But your thoughts on all that, and how was your weekend?
The weekend was good. You know, I took some time, continued to write my book I've been writing. So, you know, anytime I can get that free time for myself.
Little tease.
But yeah, you know, it was a pretty good weekend, man. Can't complain.
Yeah, well, we are back. We are ready to go. Dennis had a pretty good weekend as well. We'll talk about his Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are looking pretty good in that NFC South. But guys, we're going to start with the Eagles game as they beat the Commanders 34-31. As both of these fellas came in the door today, they both led off before I could say anything to them. They brought up the Eagles and the Commanders, and they kind of didn't like what they saw out of the Eagles yesterday. So we'll talk about that here in a minute. But Jalen Hurts got back on track, at least through the air, if you were worried about him. 319 yards, 2 touchdowns. A.J. Brown, 9 catches, $175, and 2 scores. The Eagles get it done in overtime, guys. The big news, though, was that fourth quarter drive, Sam Howell throwing that touchdown pass as time expired to Jahan Dotson in the end zone to force overtime. Riverboat Ron, who got that name from letting, the dice roll, didn't do it this time around, guys. He kicked the extra point. They end up losing in overtime to the Eagles. So I just want to start by asking you this, Jason. If you're the Commanders, would you have went for 2 in that situation? What do you think of that decision by Ron Rivera?
I think it's the first time he made a smart decision in a long time. I do feel like tying the game up was the best at that time. I understand having momentum, but you never want to kind of second-guess a decision. So going for the sure extra point, because they've had those issues in the past where there's been similar situations and they've missed the 2-point conversion. So I think the probability based on previous experiences in DC, they went for the extra point to tie it up. But that game should not have been that close. It should have been Commanders' win from the beginning, to be honest. There were some questionable calls on that game. And I guess A.J. Brown cussed out everybody before the game started and got his yards.
He did. I knew that was coming.
Vegas had the Eagles 8.5. I took the Commanders.
I agree with you. I like the Commanders.
I knew that was going to happen going in. But it was a great game if you wanted to see back and forth. But that game slipped away, and it wasn't totally the fault of the Commanders.
Laying it on the rest there. Again, whenever these two teams get together, we've seen it last year when the Eagles were undefeated. Who knocked them out? Who gave them their first loss? Was the Washington Commanders in Philadelphia. They've beaten the Eagles 3 out of the last 4 times in Philly. So I knew it was going to be tough with that game, even at home against a team with Sam Howell that got bludgeoned the week before. So that's where you get that 8.5-point line. I'm with you. I like the Commanders getting 8.5 points. Sam Howell impressed me. I thought he looked better than I'd expected him to look. That offensive line with the Commanders kept him upright. Defensive line couldn't get much pressure. But it goes back to what we said in the preseason and what we said coming into the year about the Eagles. My main point was, yeah, they lost a lot of starters on defense, and we all touched on that. The back end of that secondary is not what it used to be. There's no Diggs. There's no C.J. Gardner-Johnson. He was a Pro Bowl safety last year. You got Reed Blankenship. Terrell Edmonds was a reserve for the Steelers. He comes over. They are getting tossed. The football's getting tossed around on those boys in the back. I know Slay was banged up. Bradbury playing a little out of position at that starting now on the outside back at corner. But if you look at the Eagles here, they're allowing 271 yards passing per game. That's 27th in the NFL. Again, from a defense that was a top 5 scoring defense in totality last year. They're going to have to figure this out. Their secondary is depleted. They need to go out, and I do think Kai Roseman will make a move. I think he's going to go out and find somebody to put in the back end, because if they don't, I think, the Super Bowl is going to be a tough test for them, or just a tough test to get there. So they're going to have to bolster up that secondary. I like to see Jalen Hurts put the ball in the air. I thought he looked good, Matt, passing the football yesterday. Washington's defense, isn't, all world, probably about, I would say, middle of the pack, average maybe. Their defensive line got some good pressure, but overall I think it's, I don't want to say a good win for the Eagles, but to pull that one out in overtime, I'm not really worried about anything going forward from this game specifically. Matt, are you worried about the Eagles?
I still don't like what I'm seeing. I mean, I still think there's some executional issues. Hurts played well. First game he's really played all season where I was like, oh, okay, it kind of looks like what he was last year. But I'll say this. The egos that the Eagles have is starting to they're going to have to juggle that. I mean, A.J. Brown, look, I don't know if he's T.O. We don't know yet because he was in Tennessee. We don't know if he's a guy that's going to, give me the ball every play. But the squeaky wheel gets the oil. So he complained. They changed they got him in. But I also wonder what happened to Dallas Goedert. He's like an afterthought in this offense. And I'm just disappointed. I think he's a really good tight end. I think he's a guy that if any other team, I think he's a top 10 tight end. But for some reason, he's getting like 30 yards, and that's it. He's pretty much an afterthought. And I just want to say one other thing, too. Antonio Gibson is done. I don't see how he's going to continue there. He's a receiving running back, great, but he just can't keep the ball in his hand. I don't know. It's the second straight week with a fumble.
It's every year for him now, right?
And at this point, I think Robinson has shown that he's the best running back there. I don't even think it's a conversation piece at this point. I mean, Gibson's probably a nice third down back, change of pace guy, but at this point, he can't keep the ball in his hands. I don't know how long they're going to continue to put him out there if they can't trust him.
Yeah, and a quick turnaround for the Commanders, who will head Thursday night football against the Bears. Commanders-Bears on Thursday. I know we had a lot of our shows on Thursdays, and hopefully we can get back to that sometime this year. We had our fair share of not so potentially good matchups on Thursday, if you guys remember from last year, and that's one of those that you might not want to tune into. I mean, we'll all watch because we love our NFL football here on the show, but it's going to be one don't get too excited for between the Commanders and the Bears, and we'll talk about the Bears here in a little while. But closing words here on the Eagles. Guy, to your point about A.J. Brown, I agree. I think Jalen Hurts is kind of looking his way a little too much. And I think what we saw last year was that ball was spread all the way around. You had A.J. Brown with 5 catches, Devontae Smith with 90 catches on the year. Like Devontae, and when you go back and watch a little bit of the tape, and he did this in last week's game, did Jalen Hurts. He's looking right at A.J. Brown, for majority, right on those pre-snap reads all the way, snap full. I think he's going to have to spread the ball around, but it does go back to your point, Matt, and this is what I said back when I saw A.J. Brown complaining. He's what, Jalen Hurts is A.J. Brown's kid's godparent. They're best friends. Obviously, you're going to have that, but he seemed pretty adamant about getting him the ball, and Jalen Hurts followed suit. I mean, he had 13 targets yesterday, 9 catches. The week before, they were just funneling him the ball every play. So they did have some success. They did win this game, but going forward, I do look for Jalen to spread the ball out a little bit more and take what the defense is giving him. But you can't complain because A.J. Brown had a huge game yesterday, and Jalen put the ball in the money for him. So it ended up working out. Jason, thoughts on that?
We will see how this continues. Because the fact that the Eagles actually have 2 number 1s.
Yeah.
That's really the real issue.
I agree.
And then you have a number 1A, if you will, in Goddard. So the ball has to spread around, and I want to give a shout out to DeAndre Swift.
Yeah, definitely.
He's been balling
Yeah.
so far this season.
6th-round pick, I think they traded for
I
him.
think he's finally putting together, and we know that his main problem was always health. It was never talent. So hopefully he just continues to stay healthy, and I can easily see him being a 1,500 yard back if he stays healthy the whole season. Like that's kind of trajectory he's going towards right now.
And that's been his biggest issue. I mean, he does this year in and year out. His numbers with the Lions for the first 5 games last year were unbelievable. I mean, he was averaging over 5 yards a carry. His catches were, he was a big play threat. He scored 4 touchdowns in that time. Next thing you know, though, he's off the field. So that's been his biggest issue with him throughout the career. As Jason mentioned, off to a heck of a start. Maybe the MVP of the team so far here in 2023. So he's given them that run game that is so important to that offense. So we'll see where the Eagles go from here. But looked decent yesterday. I think it's always going to be a battle when they play the Commanders. So Commanders, quick turnaround for them. But the Eagles get a win in overtime at home. So now let's talk, guys, about one of the divisions we talked about coming into the year is maybe the best division in football. We thought it was going to be, these teams would go at it. They would battle each in and week out. It would be a tough all season until we get to the end, and maybe some teams would separate by a game or two and win the division. Not the case at least through 4 weeks in the NFL. The state of the AFC North is not really what we had thought. And let's talk about yesterday. The Texans beat up the Steelers 30-6 in their 2 losses this year. The Steelers have averaged just 6 points per game. Kenny Pickett left the game yesterday in the 3rd quarter with that knee injury. MRI came back today. Nothing too serious. He could possibly play again this weekend. We'll see how the team decides to go forward with that injury. C.J. Stroud looked great. We'll touch on him. The Bengals, that was my biggest surprise. We're still talking about the AFC North here. 27-3. This was a game that I thought, and I'll admit it, I thought this was a get-right game for the Bengals. They get the win on Monday Night Football against the Rams. Now we're back on track. You get that first win of the season. Joe Burrow, another week healthier. He said he was feeling a lot better. And then you go out and put up 3 points and get beat up by the Titans, who had been struggling this year also. 27-3. Joe Burrow, 160 yards passing. That was it. Joe Mixon couldn't get anything going. The worst I've seen the Bengals look in a long time. Jason will talk about that in a minute. But Titans beating the Bengals, Texans beating the Steelers, and games weren't close. Absolute blowouts. And then you get the other matchup in the AFC North, guys, with the Ravens, who trounced the Watson-less Browns. Watson came up with that injury late in the week, Matt, that shoulder that was really unexpected. Nobody saw that coming. Kind of out of nowhere. Ended up not playing. Initial reports said he was going to. He ended up not playing. You had David Njoku with the fire pit incident in his backyard last week. He still suited up with a mask on and played. They said they had to make sure he could get his helmet on because his face and the burns and how it would feel. So he ended up playing. But the Ravens, though, they trounced him pretty good, 28-3. The rookie Dorian Thompson-Roberts couldn't get anything going, 5th-round pick out of UCLA. The Ravens defense took care of him. Lamar Jackson, again, looked pretty good on the ground. That offense, Mark Andrews, you've been calling for it, scores twice in the end zone there. So that was a quick little summary of what we saw at the AFC North yesterday, guys. Let's just get your thoughts on the division as a whole, the landscape here of this division, Jason, a division that all 3 of us, I think, came in, we're thinking going to be one of the toughest in the National Football League.
Ravens.
Speechless.
The Ravens pretty much have a 2-game lead on the Bengals in the division. If the game goes the way I think it should on Sunday, they'll have a 2-game lead over everyone, because then you have a 2-game lead with Pittsburgh. So essentially, right now the Ravens are playing with house money in the division. It's early, but when you start out the season going 2-0 in your division in the first 4 weeks of the season, then you have another divisional game this weekend in Pittsburgh. And from what I'm hearing and reading right now, Pickett's probably not going to play, only because they want to make sure the knee is completely stable, and that means you have to play. I forget who the backup is. Mitch Trubisky, which is actually probably a better fit for this offense at this time right now, because Pickett is still throwing picks everywhere, if you will.
This offense is in shambles.
But I would say the state of the AFC North is quite questionable outside of Baltimore. Cleveland, they'll be there. I'm not worried about that. Deshaun was hurt, didn't play, but I don't want people to take away from the fact that the Ravens beat them 28-3. The Browns were a top 5 defense coming into this game.
Oh, yeah.
And Lamar went 15-19 through the air with 2 touchdowns, and had 2 more on the ground. So, it was a Lamar-esque game, and the games he started against the Ohio teams, he's 6-1 now. So you should actually understand that. On the road, he's 6-1.
And let me ask just because we went through our division previews, Matt and you and myself, and we kind of labeled where we thought each team would finish in the AFC North. And you had the Bengals finishing at the bottom of the division. Obviously, there's a lot of football left here in 2023, 2024. But we kind of, or at least I did question that a little bit. A team that's been in the AFC Championship, been in the running the last couple of years. What would it take for them to be at the bottom of the division? Maybe an injury or something like that. And yeah, there's a minor one to Joe Burrow, but he's not missing any time. What were you seeing out of the Bengals, or what did you maybe anticipate on why you had them finishing last in the division?
This is normally how the AFC North goes every 4 to 5 years. It's always one team that may win 2 or 3 division titles out of 3 years or back-to-back, and then they fall off a cliff. It happened with the Ravens in the past, happened with the Steelers in the past. So this is a normal pattern for the AFC North. And I feel like, again, using the term house money, I feel like the Bengals have been playing with house money for so long, but now they have to start to pay people, and people aren't living up to the expectations of what the money is being given to them to do.
And they're going to have to pay a lot more.
And they're going to pay a lot more money because you're going to have to pay.
It's going to be tough over there.
You're going to have to decide between Chase and you got. If you're going to pay Higgins
up for a deal.
or,
I don't think Higgins ends up there next year.
I don't think so either. But I saw some Cincinnati, and again, their O-line is still suspect. So
and again, on paper, you'd think Orlando Brown, they get all these guys, right, that they signed. They're supposed to, on paper, it looks like good offensive lines, but still.
There's a reason why Baby Zeus is on his 3rd team in like 5 years. He was originally a Raven.
That's right.
Let him go, didn't re-sign him for the contract he wanted. He went to Kansas City and got his ring. And then they didn't re-sign him either.
Yeah, that's right. There's a reason, right?
There's a reason for that. He misses easy protections. If you watch tape on him, game film, that's his problem. He gets up for the marquee defensive players, but if you're not in that top tier, then he'll just loaf around the field.
The motions.
So, and that's what you see from him.
And Matt, let's talk a little bit about it. Jason talked about the Bengals. The Steelers obviously aren't living up to at least what people thought was going to be a team that's going to be a playoff team. Mike Tomlin hasn't had a record below 500. 5 offensive possessions for that starting offense in the preseason. That's all we heard. 5 touchdown drives in those 5 possessions. A lot of hype around the Steelers team. The offense has been one of the worst in the NFL. I think Matt Canada will be out of a job here shortly. Every team in the NFL, Matt, in the last 4 years or so has had at least one 400-yard game. The Steelers are the only offense in the league that has not. Every other team has had at least 4. So Matt Canada, Mike Tomlin said there's going to be some changes there. And Matt, we talked about the Bengals. 0-2 every year, but somehow they make the AFC Championship. Joe Burrow started the last 3 years 0-2. We all kind of sat up here, maybe not Jason, and said 0-2. I know I did. I wasn't worried about him at 0-2. They had been there before.
Yep.
Now, though, 1-3, falling back in this division, and they're not passing the eye test at all right now. What is your worry level on Cincinnati going forward? And is there Steelers, are they a playoff team? And obviously you might not say right now, but do you think they can get it together?
Custom public.
I'm actually going to bet against Tomlin here. I don't like what I'm seeing from the Steelers. I'll say this. Najee Harris was the one running back that everybody hyped up in the preseason with the fantasy rankings. He was the one running back that I just did not like when you watch him play. He's not an efficient runner. He's slow coming out of handoffs. And when that happens, and your name's not Derrick Henry, so you don't have enough ability to generate on when you get going, you can be stopped. That O-line is, it's been off and on for a couple years now. Yeah. Kenny Pickett, I mean, look, as much as we think Kenny Pickett has potential, and he does, but he also has potential, which needs to be worked on.
Realized.
Yeah, realized potential. Yeah. And look, to me, the best offensive weapon they got is a guy named George Pickens, and he can't catch the ball himself.
And he had they didn't do a good job of getting him open, Matt, and they haven't done the year, but he had some drops yesterday.
He did, but I think that this is what happens when teams
press,
and get down on themselves.
Yeah.
I worry about Cincinnati too, because Cincinnati, I don't care what anybody tells me. Oh, you went 0-2. Well, guess what? Past 2 years, okay, that's great, but people can't tell me what they're seeing. They see any kind of sunshine.
No.
Burrow don't look good. The offensive line does not look good at all. It looks almost as bad as the Chicago Bears O-line at times.
Oh.
And Mixon, he's another guy that's like a Melvin Gordon-ish type back, where he's not a very efficient runner. Great passing, catching the ball, running out, being a good receiving back, but not great in terms of being efficient and getting those good yards. He's not uncommon for him to run 3.5 yards a carry during the season. So, again, they've got some problems there. It's not all sunshine and rainbows. And to your point about T. Higgins, look, we can say whatever we want. These guys are supposed to be professionals. T. Higgins knows he's looking for another team. He knows. There's no way they are gonna sit there. They're gonna put the money on Chase and Burrow, and Boyd is probably gonna get a little deal on the side maybe to stay there because he's been the veteran guy there. But they can't keep Higgins. They can't afford him.
Yeah, and you ever heard Boyd's name all season?
Oh, not at all.
At all. Like, I ain't even like a whisper.
And had to step up yesterday because T. Higgins left the game with those fractured ribs. He does have fractured ribs. That came out today. I'm not sure if it's going to cost him any time, but he was quoted as saying yesterday that he can't lay on that side of his body yet. So that's going to be an issue for T. Higgins. Things aren't looking good for Cincinnati right now. And Dennis has his question of the day for us. Let's see what he's got for us today. Again, we don't know what it is. Should Joe Burrow shoulder the blame for the Bengals' slow start? So right on cue, guys. We talked about it coming in. He limped into the preseason, didn't play the preseason, didn't go to training camp, was there, didn't participate with that calf strain. Week 1, we talked about it, 0-1, it's whatever. He's coming back, 0-2. As Mike said, they do that every year. They get the win over the Rams. He looked decent on Monday night. Prime time against the Rams, who are way better than we would have thought coming into the season. They get a win. Chase has a good game. The passing game looks acceptable, serviceable. You can only think you can go up from here, right? They've been improving. You would expect a bigger game against the Titans' pass defense, which is one of the worst in the league. We talk about the Eagles having a bad pass defense. Titans are worse. And Joe Burrow with 160 yards in that game. Yeah. Is Joe Burrow to blame? Is it the Cincinnati offensive line? As Matt said, is things just creeping through that locker room? What is it?
I'm going to say something real spicy.
Give Matt his camera. Give him the camera.
Real spicy. Listen, if Joe Burrow's name was Jamal Burrow, we already know what the conversation would be. And that would be he's going to shoulder the blame. So I'll be fair in my assessment. Yes, we know Joe Burrow, what he's been. But as an athlete, he also knows what his body was when he started the season. He should have been, I guess, a little less prideful. Maybe that machismo's kicking in and he just thought he could just gut through it. Look, Jason sat up here and said, look, that injury he's got is going to hinder him. Maybe he should have sat out a couple games. Maybe he should have got himself a little right. And the amount of hits he's taken in that pocket, it's only delayed the healing. I mean, he is not getting
definitely. It's going to get worse. It's going to be there throughout the entire year.
And the reason why I say that is because quarterback, you have to plant before you throw. And the calf muscle is probably one of those important things. I agree. Plant, to pivot to your 3, 5, 7 step drops. He can't commit on the follow through on his throws.
Can't push the ball down the field.
And you see that. And you see him throwing ducks down the field right now.
They've been bad, yeah.
And you see him not putting enough air under his throws, and the accuracy that he normally has isn't there. But, we kind of saw this at LSU, too. Let's not act like we didn't before. This is not uncommon for him to have a great game and then a so-so game afterwards. Yeah. Or there's a reason why he had to transfer. So are we seeing ugly Joe Burrow habits reach their ugly heads again? Probably so, because right now he is not seeing the field.
So are you basically saying it's more from his skill, is more of his gameplay, or more of the injury that's costing him so far?
I would say a combination of both, and yes, I do put the blame on him.
I'm gonna put the blame on him
when you're the highest paid player in the league, you get the blame.
I got to put it on him too. Again, he is the highest paid player in the league, and it is the injury. We have to be frank. That's what it's definitely playing a major role. And he can't, as Jason said, he can't push the ball down the field. Jamar Chase is running open down the field. He can't get it there.
What do you say? I'm open. I'm always open.
That's what he said. He said it. And again, that's somebody who's been with Joe for a while, and they're very good friends. But he just can't get the ball 20 yards down the field right now. That's going to hurt the Bengals. That was what their offense relied on last year and going forward. So something to keep an eye on. We'll see if they can fix it. More faith going forward, Steelers or Bengals, guys, and I think I know the answer.
Neither one.
Neither.
I have to say the Bengals.
I got more faith in Cleveland.
Cleveland will be the team.
Yeah. I think Cleveland's got better weapons, better things.
We'll say Deshaun Watson dealing with this injury is not good. That's not good. If they lose him,
However, I trust DTR over anybody else that's playing for the Bengals or the Steelers right now.
Yeah.
At quarterback.
And
I
don't
don't mind
forget,
JTR.
Cleveland's they're still figuring out how to get Kareem Hunt going in that offense.
And Jerome Ford got banged up. They
So-
lost Chubb. So some injuries in Cleveland. That defense,
Yeah.
though, Myles Garrett also with an ankle injury. He should
Yep.
be good to go, though, going forward. So the AFC North, not what we thought they were here so far through 4 games. And that takes us to the big one in the AFC East, a division that's been a hot topic of discussion for us three and as well across the nation here this year. And that's the Bills and the Dolphins going at it. Bills coming in as 3.5-point favorites, guys. I was just a little surprised at that line coming in. I thought maybe the Dolphins could have a small favorite or the Bills maybe be a pick 'em at home. Bills came in as 3.5-point favorites, and they lit it up against Miami in Buffalo. Bills Mafia, stand up. 21 of 26, 320 yards, 4 touchdowns for Josh Allen, who looks really good again here in Week 4. 17 yards and a rushing touchdown. Since that loss against the Jets, he's been lights out the last 3 weeks. Stephon Diggs, one of the best receivers in the league. 6 catches, a $120, and 3 touchdowns. And I had to put this on for you guys because we had a big laugh about this in the preseason show. Latavius Murray leading them in rushing yesterday. 4 carries, 32 yards, has a couple touchdowns on the season. James Cook is the back, and obviously we all get that. But I told you guys Latavius Murray will be scoring some touchdowns this year, and he's done it already. But James Cook is definitely the back of that backfield.
Murray.
I think he looks pretty good too. With the Dolphins, went up against a good defense on the road yesterday and put up 70 against the worst defense in the league in the Broncos last week. Put up 20. They get beat 48-20, Matt. Again, Devon Achane, 8 carries, 101 yards, and 2 touchdowns. That rookie's a stud. Tyreek Hill, though, held in check for the first time all year. Waddle returns. He's held in check. That Buffalo defense was looking good at home against Miami, a team that has been lights out all year offensively. What did you see in this one, and what maybe did you take away from this win for the Bills?
I'm not shocked. I mean, this is what they do. I mean, the Bills, this is who they are. I mean, they'll show up during the regular season and they'll play their games. The problem has always been when the postseason starts. And as much as I want to crown and give Josh Allen his flowers for playing well, I got to be honest too. This is great. But when the postseason starts, are you going to be who you were we just saw? And I'll say this, and I'll continue to say this. Until the Buffalo Bills get a really good running back, and by good I mean just competent, they're going to have a problem. Because at some point, you can't keep having Josh Allen out there taking these big hits, continue to take chances when he runs out of that pocket. He's not even attempting slides. He's not attempting to go out of bounds.
Got that farm boy strength.
He just believes he's going to go in there, and as we saw with anybody who's built Ford tough, eventually that motor breaks, and we saw that with Cam Newton. So listen, it sounds good, but look, at the end of the day, this is the NFL, and them hits do pile up eventually.
And I think a big part of their success yesterday, Matt, to your point about that run game, I think was James Cook. And I think James Cook coming in, obviously didn't show the stats yesterday, didn't have that great of a game with the numbers yesterday, but got 12 carries. James Cook's been good the last couple weeks, and they really worked that play action, to your point that you've been saying now for months and months. They didn't have a play action game before.
No.
Josh Allen was phenomenal on play action yesterday, one of the best passer ratings for play action on the season. They didn't have that part of their offense last year. James Cook through the first 3 weeks, I think, was getting carries, and now defenses have to, be ready for that run game. It worked out for them yesterday against the Dolphins. Jason, what are you taking away from this one?
This happened. Buffalo owns Miami in Buffalo. I mean,
Then they got to go to Miami.
They gotta go
You
to
know
Miami.
about Miami.
You know, but I mean, it was a good effort, team effort by Buffalo. As Matt alluded to, I'll give them credit, but again, it's October. Talk to me in December and January when it really matters. And I think this was just a bad game. Teams lose. This was just a bad game. But
Especially division matchups.
a chain, 8 carries and 100 yards.
Can't even get the ball 10 times. Can't give him 10 touches.
That's what I'm saying. I don't care what the score is. You feed that beast.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's 25 carries for 189 yards or something, but that type of production, you feed that regardless.
I think he's taken over Mostert's spot, and I mean, there'll be 1-2 punch, of course. I think he's going to earn himself more work and maybe be the lead back there for Miami. But Jason, is this game or this outcome change your prediction of the Dolphins win the division?
Not at all.
Nope, not me either.
And so you're going with the same with the Dolphins?
I think again, they just came off of scoring 72 points. I mean,
had to revert back to the mean a little bit there.
maybe they were. I don't know, too
Overconfident,
confident.
yeah.
Overconfident.
That
It happens.
The way they've been playing, how can you not be a little bit?
We'll see what happens with the rematch.
And
That's all.
Tua said that after the game. He said this loss is going to be good for some. So I think he was kind of alluding to the fact that some people were kind of feeling themselves after that 70-point win last week, and that could very well have been the case. Bills get a big win in the AFC East. They've been playing well, and pretty much AFC East has been playing well besides the New England Patriots. And I don't know if we're going to get to them today because they're not worth talking about, but potentially a little bit later on. Let's talk to one of the games on the slate that maybe wasn't supposed to be a game that you had circled, but was going to be a competitive game with two teams looking for their first wins.
The toilet bowl
of the year, basically, here between the Denver Broncos, who have been bludgeoned through their first 3 weeks, and the Chicago Bears, who have just been ruthlessly beaten through their first 3 weeks. So you get a game here in Chicago. Broncos traveling, I believe, to Soldier Field, where this game was yesterday. They were 3-point favorites on the road. And I'll tell you what, guys, if you watch that one, the Bears look damn good early. Going up against that defense that gave up 70, we knew this could be a get-right game for Justin Fields and this Bears offense, which has been able to do nothing through 3 weeks, and they did. Justin Fields, 28 of 35, 335 yards, 4 touchdowns, an interception. Justin Fields' first 300-yard passing game in his career. They were up 28-7, and Russell Wilson and the Broncos storm back and get this win, the largest blown lead in Chicago Bears history. And guys, it looked so good at the start. Fields was feeling himself. Herbert has over 100 yards on the ground. DJ Moore's having a good game. They're showing Ryan Poles in the box. He's happy, high-fiving everybody for Chicago. Next thing you know, Sean Payton gets his first win as Denver Broncos head coach, and the Bears drop to 0-4. Jason, start with you here. Thoughts on the Chicago Bears?
I got to go here.
What did you think about their play yesterday? Are you more encouraged, I should say, by what they did in the beginning, or more let down by the collapse?
Sean Payton and the Broncos didn't deserve a win. I'll just put it out there. I'm really not a fan.
I was until he talked all that.
But no, honestly, excuse me. I would say through 3.5 quarters, this was all Bears, and then they let their foot off the gas, and this happened. But Justin Fields is literally doing everything he can possibly do to help win games in Chicago. He just doesn't have the supporting cast to do it consistently enough. I mean,
I don't think he has a coaching staff either.
I mean, but look at his numbers: 28-35.
That's got to be his best passing game.
Those are great numbers. 335, 4 touchdowns. Of course, the costly interception
that was the big one
in the fourth quarter. But he was trying to put them back in the game. However, had they kicked the field goal,
that's
going for 4th and 1.
That's the story of the game. 4th and 1, Jason, at the Denver 18 with just under 3 minutes to go.
You kicked that.
How do you not kick that? Brandon Staley on the side, did he get on the sideline for the Chicago Bears somehow?
You kick that field goal. I don't care what it is, because by only being a 3-point difference, either way, you kick that field goal because you're forcing them to score at least a field goal. They can tie it up. They want to win, you got a touchdown. But if you kick that field goal, they have to go score to something, and that way you can, call your defensive schemes out to kind of stop them from going up the field. But that was the dumbest thing of all day to me. You kick that field goal.
I don't get this infatuation all of a sudden with going for it. I mean, I know I started Doug Peterson when they won the Super Bowl a couple years ago, but since that point, I mean, it's almost laughable at how often and where coaches are going for 4th down on where they are on the field. I've never seen it. I mean, the last couple of years have been just crazy to me.
Man.
It is crazy. We had Brandon Staley last week. We come in this week. I mean, it's a new coach every week just doing something I think that's very stupid. Matt, what do you think? Is this more about the Broncos or more about the Bears going forward?
I mean, it's more about the Bears to me. I mean, so I took some flack for saying that I think Justin Fields, if he goes on any other team, I think he's got a legit chance to be decent. I think if he's on San Francisco, which we should have drafted him.
As a 49ers fan, I tell you, that was a big one, though. That was a big. John Lynch still has his job because of
only Sam Howell this year has been sacked more times than Justin Fields. The difference between Sam Howell and Justin Fields is Sam Howell has better defense. He has better weapons, better running back, better wideout. I'd say other than tight end, there's nothing really different between those guys. Mm-hmm. The issue that I have with the Chicago Bears is they might literally be the worst managed franchise in all of the NFL. I don't see how anybody can top it. I mean, seriously, if you go through their history of their league and what they've done, and the 85 Bears, the Rats. That's it. And you talk about who's their best quarterback.
They've never had a Pro Bowl quarterback.
Rex Grossman took him to the Super Bowl, and Rex Grossman was not again. He's a Florida Gator.
You had to mention that.
Of course. That's the point. Like
people.
they have been so offensively challenged for so many years.
They thought they hit with Eric Kramer. They thought they hit with Steve Walsh. They had Harbaugh for a few years.
And I think to that point here, and you look at it as the largest blown lead in history, it's only 28-7. That's their largest. You feel like if you have an offense that was decent over the last however many years, you might blow a bigger lead than that. But I think because they're so offensively challenged, their biggest blown lead of their career is 28-7.
They don't draft well on offense. Defense, they better draft it, but offense, they do not draft well. It's just what it is.
Well, you get linemen.
But
they're lying. It's the worst in the league.
I'll take a step further. I'm gonna go here with it. It wasn't Mr. Trubisky's fault prior, and it's not Justin Fields' fault now. They do not know how to develop quarterbacks in Chicago. Like it just doesn't.
And it doesn't
happen.
matter the coaching staff
It
either.
doesn't matter the coach. And
Could have had Mahomes. That's all their fans talk about.
Until they do right by Lovie Smith, you fire him after a 10-6 season, and all your coaches combined together since haven't even matched Lovie's wins total in Chicago his entire time there. That's the real problem too. We're not going to talk about the elephant in the room, but I'm going to say it. You fired Lovie Smith, you've been cursed ever since.
And I'll tell you one thing. We talk about our, Steve Wilkes and last year and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Doing a heck of a job over as defensive coordinator for San Fran. They were looking pretty good, as we kind of expected here going forward. But you talked about
the Niners, boy.
Hey, look, that's going to be a good one next week. Hopefully, if we can get in here on Thursday or get another show in this week, we can talk about the Cowboys-Niners game coming up. Because sorry, Cowboys fans, I think you're going to get blown out against the 49ers. I mean, we'll have to wait and see, and maybe I'm just issuing a challenge to Dallas. I haven't liked what I've seen out of the Cowboys
Dallas, we
lately.
coming for you.
Defense, we'll see what happens, but and I could change my tune, but not really high on the Cowboys offensively this year. But Jason, you mentioned the draft, and the Bears haven't been able to delve a quarterback. This is going to be the draft, or maybe they do. They trade that number 1 overall pick. They get the draft picks. As of right now, guys, if it were to end right now, they would have the number 1 and number 2 overall pick, and maybe the biggest draft for a number 1 and number 2 overall pick you could have with Caleb Williams, and maybe the best quarterback prospect we've seen in a long time, or Marvin Harrison Jr., the best wide receiver prospect. They could get both. That would be I couldn't even tell you how big that would be to get those two maybe just game changers.
But honestly, do you give up on Justin Fields after the season?
But that's another question. I think for Caleb Williams, you do. I think you do. I think you absolutely do for Caleb Williams.
We'll take him.
If you get the number 1 pick, it's not Bryce. Like this year, I know Bryce. We weren't high on him.
But potential versus something already on the field, you give him better talent. I'm not sold on everybody just being potential.
But they're so bad. Caleb Williams is threatening to go back to school.
Yeah. Yep, that's the elephant in another elephant.
That's how bad they are.
And his dad's come out and said that too. He said, "Listen, if he doesn't want to go,
said, I'm out, bro."
He's making over $2.5 million just from endorsements at USC. Like he's probably making millions. Nowadays, if you're a college kid that's a good athlete, you're getting school. Why would you leave early?
I'm going to leave USC
Why would you? You can party at USC and throw touchdowns every Saturday and still make millions.
The only thing Chicago has right now is deep dish pizza, man. You Caleb Williams. That's it, man. That's it. You kidding me?
Top 2 picks. Again, Jason, to your point, I would move off for Justin
Harrison
Fields.
Jr. don't want to go there.
I would move off for Justin Fields for Caleb Williams.
I don't know if I'm doing that.
I haven't seen enough of it yet.
We'll give a 3rd-round draft pick for him.
They might do that. He could keep your eye. It could be. I don't know. With Brock Purdy, though, I tell you, Brock Purdy.
No. There's a different dynamic. That if you put Justin Fields on that team last year, they're in the Super Bowl.
That's a fact. We beating y'all.
Listen, I think Brock Purdy's a better thrower
with
than
the
Justin
refs,
Fields.
bro. No cheating with the refs.
Brock Purdy is better.
Terry McLaurin was in. Just gonna keep saying that. Anyways, he wasn't.
Oh, well, that's just not true. We're going to jump to Sunday Night Football now. Again, Bears could have the top 2 picks next year. Phew, that would be something. We're going to move on, though, to Sunday Night Football. And before we start Sunday Night Football, we all got together pre-show, and we've come to the conclusion.
I'm not mentioning the name.
That we cannot hear or see
that name
anymore, and I'm going to say it, of the Taylor Swift nonsense.
You would say it.
That's a fact.
In the media. I can't turn on a show or turn on a radio show or a TV show, anything to do with sports, and it's about Taylor Swift.
Yeah, man.
I'm starting to lose my mind. And again, if you talk about the game, they showed her 100 times yesterday. Jason, you said you were playing a game with your friend, the over/under, on how many times her name would be mentioned in the broadcast, and a little hint for you, or a little clue. It all went over yesterday. But Dennis, do you have the picture I sent on Twitter last night? It was the NFL. I'm not sure if we can get up there. The NFL updated their official Instagram to say the Chiefs are 2-0 since becoming Swifties, and Taylor Swift is the NFL's banner on social media.
And it goes further. Travis Kelce's jersey sales went from 19th to 5th in 2 weeks.
Why?
Because the girls, I guess, the Swifties, if you will, must be buying.
And he gained
Kelce jerseys.
He gained 1 million IG followers in the last 2 weeks.
Listen, football is football. I think we should just keep her and football away from each other for a while. And we shouldn't mention them together.
I'm feeling like old school Kanye when it comes to Taylor right now. So I'm just going,
Again, that's just a PSA from all of us here at DETV. Let's focus on football.
We don't care, bro.
Let's focus on football a little bit. So again, thank you to everyone out there, and I hope all you national medias out there accept our plea.
We don't care about Taylor Swift, but if it was Meg Thee Stallion, it's a different conversation. But anyways.
So with that being said, let's move on to the Chiefs and the Jets in a game that I will say I wasn't planning on watching this one, fellas. I wasn't. I was like, the Chiefs are going to beat them. But I did. I turned it on just to check it out to see, maybe if the spirit of somebody would take over Zach Wilson's body, and maybe be him a little bit better. And he was a little bit better last night. The Chiefs do get the win, 23-20. And you talked about calls in the Eagles game. This one had a bunch as well. And some people are saying that it's a little conspiracy theory back to the whole Taylor Swift thing. They're saying the NFL is trying to boost the Chiefs, boost them up because of Taylor Swift. And we'll know about all of that.
Yeah, that was a blatant hold call on that third down play where Mahomes shoots the gap 29 yards.
You're talking about offensive hold.
Offensively. Because of holding against the Chiefs.
Okay, I thought you were going to say they shouldn't have called the.
Shouldn't have been called.
And I agree.
That call on Sauce. That was worse than the Super Bowl call.
3rd and 20. How do you bail out a 3rd and 20?
It was an interception too.
3rd and 20, and you give them a first. I mean, that's just
interception.
And then there's some videos about the referees doing things before the calls. It's a little weird out there. We'll see if you want to look up.
You mean like what happened with Philly last year?
Oh, and then I can't get out. Everything goes back to the.
Really talk about
somebody's really salty about the Eagles getting some wins last year.
And then you have.
Terry McLaurin was in.
Then you got Pat Mahomes screwing up everybody in Vegas money by sliding. It was a bad beat.
It was a bad beat.
They were a 9-point favorite.
In some books, they were 7-point favorites.
9-point favorite. And if you brought it down with the wager at the end of the game, it was 3.5. So either way, you were screwed. Last night, but I took the Jets with the 9.5 points.
Smart.
So smart.
That was smart.
But
I wouldn't have done it.
Brave man.
Yeah, I didn't have the.
I would say this. Zach Wilson grew up in front of our eyes last night.
Come on, man.
He did.
What are we doing? He grew up.
He grew up, man.
So you're saying could this be sustainable? Did they figure it out? Did they finally get him to put him in the position to succeed?
I ain't going.
I'm gonna tell you why. I think they finally gave him the keys to the offense. That's what I think. It's not really.
It looked like it looked
not really more about him. About they let him throw the ball.
Opened it up a little bit.
Yeah, they let him throw the ball again. That's really what I saw.
Y'all on that gas, I see.
Okay. Nah, I'm not on that gas. Listen, they can still be a wild card team.
I'm with you. I think I would never put money on it, and I won't go out of state. But it's a possibility.
Listen,
that defense, Zach Wilson looks like that every week.
No, it's not even that. In this trash AFC this year, they can still listen. When everyone in the AFC South is 2-2,
and you get another playoff team now, all of a sudden,
they can be a 7 seed.
Look, it's still Zach Wilson though.
They still got that defense though.
That's a fact, but it's Zach.
And they're gonna win them some games before long.
I'm not trusting Zach with the Chiefs, bro.
And to your point about maturing, did you hear him at his press conference last night? Said he lost in the game. Last year, Zach Wilson would have found a way to get out of it or come up with an excuse. He said he lost in the game. He fumbled the ball. He said the defense was great. I never heard him talk like that. I know that's what a quarterback should sound like anyway.
I mean, listen.
But in this situation, it's small steps for Zach Wilson.
He should have gave Pat Mahomes all that love last night. That's why they did it, because Zach Wilson got drafted because of Pat Mahomes.
However, I will say
throws
this.
off platform.
Talking about Pat Mahomes, we talking about quarterbacks who look like trash this year. He's one of them right now.
What?
Pat Mahomes ain't.
That's right. Matt's a big Pat Mahomes guy. He is.
Figure.
Pat Mahomes, they ain't looking like Pat Mahomes right now, and you know it. Don't sit here just because you see.
But is it his fault or is it the weapons this year? He doesn't have.
He is not looking like his usual
He doesn't even
self.
have a juju, which is what he had
I'm going to
last
let you
year.
go off. Go ahead.
He does not look like his normal self right now. I'm not saying he
the
won't get
normal
there.
self.
To Jason's points, last night those 2 interceptions were throws I had never seen him make. Like those were passes he underthrew twice.
Listen,
that I'd never seen.
You know good and well. Normally, his total game numbers are usually a first half for him, man.
Oh,
you know
okay, so we either going on
It's
full,
it's statistically his worst game of his
okay, are
career.
we either going full crack or we're not going full crack? Which one is it?
We go on Jordan scale as far as grading him every game he has. Normally he has 350
He got a whole
something
high
yards,
expectations, right?
4 or 5 touchdowns.
Man, he got Sky Moore out there, man. Like, I'm just saying,
He's always had trash receivers.
No, he hasn't
outside
always had trash receivers. You see the guys he got out there?
He's only had Kelsey his whole career there. Come
Man,
on,
he got
man.
Rasheed Rice.
I think Juju last year was their
on,
He
best
got
option.
Gray. He got Noah Gray. Who is he?
You gonna tell me
Kadarius? I'm always hurt. Tony. Like what?
So you gonna tell me Sammy Watkins
MVS?
was better than him and he wasn't?
Sammy Watkins is better than all those guys.
Well, he wasn't in Kansas City either.
He just. What do you mean? He got like 900 yards.
Boy, it's still trash.
Oh, I'm not saying he's not
Juju was
trash.
their
I'm
big
saying he
guy.
got 900 yards being trash.
Was their big guy last year.
Who was?
I think Juju, and I mean, and don't get me wrong, he's not a
Yeah.
best receiver, but he was their best. They don't even have him this year.
They don't have him this year. That's what I'm saying.
KC's always had diarrhea receivers. Let's just put it out there.
And again, last year,
Diarrhea.
Yeah, but they
won
ain't even
the
got
Super Bowl.
Pepto right now. They don't
Listen,
even have Imodium right now. They don't have anything.
So let me ask you this, we'll just throw this out
It's
there.
Kelsey.
So me and you agree the Jets. I mean, you can't go as far as to say they got robbed, but I thought they.
Oh, they got robbed last night.
How do you feel? You think the Jets got
I
robbed?
think the NFL got it perfect.
But that's it right there. The NFL did get it
They
perfect
got
because
it perfect.
they did it. I will say
was
the
a perfect
NFL
call.
did it.
Great job by the refs in that game.
Man, I'm done with this game, bro. I can't.
Terry
talk about
McLaurin.
Let me ask this though again, real quickly, and you guys almost just touched on it. How worried from scale 1 to 5 are you about the Chiefs going forward? Still, right as of right now, the favorites
It's
to win the
Pat
Super Bowl.
Mahomes,
They're still the
bruh.
favorites to win the Super Bowl in
It's
Vegas.
Pat Mahomes. What are you talking about?
They ain't winning the Super Bowl. I can tell you that.
Yeah, they ain't winning the Super Bowl.
No.
Wait, now you're saying that
No,
win the
he
Super
said
Bowl?
it already. He said it already.
Yeah, I already said it. I said they're not winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah, he said it already.
Oh, all right.
No, they're not doing that. But see, the thing is,
I don't even think you can say that yet. I still think they
I'm
could.
a fan of Pat Mahomes. I'm not a moron. Like, I mean,
I don't think it would be moronic to say they could win the Super Bowl.
I do.
Yeah, I do.
Really?
It's moronic. It's
Yo,
moronic,
Dennis,
bro.
clip this, Dennis. We're gonna play it in February. Clip it.
And I will tell you why. I like what that team out in LA is doing.
Who's the team?
I like that. Despite their coaching, I like what the Chargers doing.
What, the Chargers?
No, the Chargers. They can't stop. Yo,
The
if I put together an offensive all of
The
us here at
Chargers?
DETV, we'd be able to drive the ball on the
I
Chargers.
love Herbert, but after that, let's be real. Come on, man.
Brandon
No
Staley.
Mike Williams.
Brandon Staley, that coach, I don't care. They can have the best team in the world. With him as the coach, they can't win the Super Bowl. They can't. They can't.
I'm not saying they're going to Super Bowl. I'm saying I like them as a competition
For the division?
for the division this year.
Okay, we'll see.
It's going to be a real competition for the division.
Yeah, I'm too much of a Brandon Staley hater to chalk that
I
up.
don't- No, he's horrible as a coach. We're not going to sit here and act like he's
Oh,
not.
yeah, he should have already been
But
fired.
whatever. When you still have Keenan Allen, you still got
Keenan Allen's
Herbert.
he's a bad boy.
Khalil Mack 6 sacks yesterday.
Yeah, how did we not talk about that? That's a good point.
Like,
Six
six
sacks.
sacks?
And guess who cost me the game in fantasy? Going up against the Chargers, the 6 sacks beat me at the 4:30 window. So
That
shout out to Khalil Mack and the Chargers defense.
Can I get the camera real quick, bro? Dennis, if you would, please. I need the camera. NFL, stop going to London, please. I don't like these games.
Too early.
I'm not waking up that early. And then you tried to dress it up with a Toy Story animation. The Falcons are still trash. You know, like.
Oh God,
like,
can we talk about? I mean, we got some time. We started early tonight.
Yeah, so-
I have to.
I'm
Desmond
done.
Ritter
I'm done.
has to be the worst. I mean, he has to be the worst. I don't know if you guys were up early. Did you watch?
I watched that
game?
trash.
I cannot believe that they left him out there. 2 straight plays. I mean, and this is.
Back to
I
back.
watched a lot of quarterback play. I played quarterback. You cannot drop back and stare down your first read from a pre-snap the whole way. He drops straight back and looks at the same guy every single play. The safeties were dropping back, just having a field day. Like, I don't think they could believe it. They were jumping routes before the receivers were breaking on the routes.
He threw back-to-back interceptions.
On two straight passes.
Two straight passes, yeah.
One, they both should have been taken for touchdowns. The one he fumbled it on the way back, and then one he did return it. Where's the call? Taylor Heineke, SOS. He needs to be the quarterback in Atlanta. They're a way better team with Taylor. If Taylor Heineke's the quarterback in Atlanta, they have a chance to win that division. With Desmond, and that's what I said worst to first was my preview for this year. Not with Desmond Ridder.
It might still be worse.
Because we all predicted by week 6 we would see Taylor Heineke.
Well,
it's almost week 6, and if they don't, Arthur Smith may need to go because he's got the Ted Lasso mustache. I don't know what he's got going on over there in Atlanta. He gets Kyle Pitts and Drake London, 2 top 10 picks, and won't get him the ball.
Got Bijan Robinson right
And
there.
oh my God, 3 top 10 picks, and they can't get him the ball in one of the worst offenses in the league.
Kyle Pitts, run, bro. Run. Just run.
Somebody make an offer, try to get one of those guys, but if I'm the Falcons and Desmond Ridder's not the answer, it's not like you drafted him in the first round and you got to give him extra time. You took him after the first round. He's a quarterback. You took a flyer on. Move on. You've seen what you got to see. He's cooked. Not even cooked because he was never good. He's just not a good quarterback. He can't play. He can't continue to play for the Falcons.
Said that boy is Basuda, man.
He can't play. He's got to go if the Falcons want a chance at doing anything, which again would be amazing if they did anyway. So again, at London, coming back this Sunday at 9:30. Jaguars are staying there all week. They're hanging out for back-to-back weeks, and they'll get the Buffalo Bills.
And then we have a game in London after that.
And then a game in Germany. I'm with Jason.
Germany?
In Germany.
Yeah, the Germany games this year too. Yeah.
So we got to stop that. Let's keep it here so you keep everything around the same time.
Shout out Millie Vanilli, man.
And now quickly, guys, quick roundup the rest of Sunday. I'm just going to throw you guys some quick questions here as we just talk about the games that we haven't touched on already. We just talked about the Jaguars and how they love London. Jason, real quickly, Rams beat the C team in overtime, 29-23. Was that nice to see the Colts go down to the Rams?
No, because they should have beat the Rams.
And again, we're big Anthony, or at least I am, Anthony Richardson fans on this show.
No, they blew that game. That was more so of Indianapolis giving the game away back to the Rams. That should have been an Indianapolis win.
But the Rams go to 2-2 now. They'll get Cooper Kupp supposedly back this week. I would have never thought 2-2 for the Rams.
He's cooked too.
Yeah, he's cooked.
He's Cooper Kupp?
He's cooked.
I think he's done, huh?
He's cooked.
I mean, he ain't where he was.
He would not be that Triple Crown Cooper Kupp again. There's no way.
So, huh?
No.
Even if he stays healthy, stays on the field?
No. No.
Look, man.
No.
I don't know, man. I think he'll
No.
be all right. Now, Matt, Bucks go on the road. Dennis's Tampa Bay Buccaneers beat the Saints one-arm car, 26-9. He was questionable coming in. They tried to not let him play. He fought to play. Let me play. He plays, averages 3.5 yards an attempt. Gives Alvin Kamara 15 catches. What the hell's going on in New Orleans? Tampa Bay beat their ass. Thoughts on the Bucks? Thoughts on the Bucks? Baker Mayfield's got them rolling. Got the boys rolling down in Tampa.
I don't know what the heck is going on with you right now, but Baker Mayfield has actually played like something. I'm shocked.
He actually has.
He has actually been my whipping boy. I think he's trash for most of his career, and for some reason he's decided to be Roy Hobbs the natural and decided to show up and be good. I don't understand it.
Look. Baker Mayfield, you earned that, bro. You earned it. You know what? He's not in all those progressive commercials. He's just playing football.
He's just playing football.
That's true.
He doesn't have the keys to Raymond James.
And I actually saw him make a throw on the run.
He doesn't have the keys
to Raymond James.
They took them keys back. But I tell you, he's got the keys to the Heisman house. He does get in some action.
However, I will say this. What are we talking about? Oh, yeah, the Saints. What do they have against playing Jameis Winston?
I would have thrown him out. They let him. Jason, he averaged 3.5 yards an attempt.
No,
per attempt.
Carr's clearly hurt.
That is the crazy. I've never seen numbers like that.
It's an AC joint.
That's like a quarterback throwing with their left hand.
He's about 5 throws away from blowing it up completely. It's an AC joint.
Yeah.
What do you have against playing Jameis Winston? You re-signed him.
I'd take him, but I'm not playing him.
I would play Jameis Winston over their quarterback.
I played Jameis Winston in high school and college.
He was a hell of a quarterback at Florida State.
Yeah, but
he was good. Kelvin Benjamin.
That man, this is how crazy Jameis Winston is. He had 1 pass attempt in that game, and it was a pick. Like, I don't know why people. This man has no freaking conscience, man.
Well, he got his eyes fixed.
He's got at least an arm. Carr didn't have an arm yesterday.
Carr doesn't have an arm anyway.
Oh, just let Taysom Hill play, bro.
3.5 yards. But let me show you guys something.
It is worse, but at least he doesn't intercept the ball. He doesn't pass the other team.
He can't throw up a 10 yards down the field.
Let me put this in the space for you. 3.5 yards per attempt.
I mean, it's like Jeff Garcia, man. Just let him go out there and throw them.
That's
short
for
dumps,
me.
man.
That's for me to the end of this table almost. That's his average of yards per attempt for Derek Carr yesterday. From me to over there. That's just
Deshaun
incredible.
Watson, man. That's not Deshaun Watson. Sorry. What's his
Jameis.
I can't do it.
Jameis.
Listen, I'm still a famous Jameis fan.
40
interceptions in one season, bro.
He went 40-40 though. He had 40 touchdowns too.
Yeah, man.
That makes it all
Come
better.
on, man. I can't
5,000
do
yards.
it. I can't do it, man. I can't do it. That
Shout out
man-
to famous Jameis. We'll see. We'll see if we
Famous
see him next
Jameis,
week.
man.
If
Y'all
Derek
leave
Carr is
him
in
alone.
any,
Can't
remotely
do it.
close to the same state he was last week, you can't throw him
If
back out
Kirk
there.
Cousins can still get time on the field, then so should Jameis Winston.
Speaking of which,
Captain
the Vikings,
Mid.
we're gonna have to go to the map for this one. They get their first win over
fact.
Bryce Young and the Panthers, 21-13, Matt. Captain Mid, and I sent a text out to the group me early because I was watching this one as well. He goes right down the field at the goal line, and Captain Mid strikes. He strikes at the goal line, pick 6 in the end zone. They take it all the way back. They're down 7-0, and I'm like, man, are we going to see Kirk Cousins do it again to the Panthers, who are one of the worst teams in the league? What did you think about the Vikings getting that first win yesterday?
I mean, I'm excited for Captain Mid. I mean, he also had a fumble, but he got it recovered. But, it's Captain Mid, man. He's proven to be who we thought he was going to be without Dalvin Cook to shield him. Interestingly enough, though, the Vikings did bring in Cam Akers. He got a couple touches. He looked pretty decent there. I think he can be a nice little change of pace with Madison, who,
Yeah.
Look, man, at the end of the day, I think, did we have him going last? I think that
Jason
was
had
our-
him finishing last.
I am finishing last.
I had him finishing
I
second
think I
and
had
third.
second to last. Yeah, I think I did. So, yeah, I mean.
I didn't predict this. I had 13 wins last year. And as we see, here's Cousins. Oh, man.
Oh,
Can't
it
make
is.
that
Look at
throw.
that.
Can't make that throw.
Pick
And
six.
watch him here. He gets roughed
Look
up
how-
pretty good.
look how he's running.
Listen, PSA quarterbacks, don't try to make the tackle. Boom! Unless you're the
Captain
last
Mid.
line of defense, which I give it to him. He was the last line of defense.
That boy is so trash.
But, man, not looking good there. Vikings do get their first win.
He ran like Forrest Gump. You remember Forrest Gump was running with them sneakers? That's how he just ran just now.
And quickly, though, Jason, Bryce Young, again, first-round pick, struggling to see the field back there. It looks like a little bit. The height might be playing an issue. I'm not sure if that's the reason, but
'Cause he's a midget.
it's not looking good for the first overall pick. Here, Lee Corso. Shout out to Lee Corso. What do you think? Is Bryce Young not who we thought he was? Give him time?
He's an
What do you think?
Oompa-Loompa, man.
Nah, he's a little person.
He's height disadvantaged.
And it's Frank.
It's framed, too.
And-
He's small all the way around.
And it's Frank Reich being the head coach. Steve Wilkes will still be there. Sorry.
Either way, they need something.
Karma is karma,
offensively.
and he can't see past his helmet, so
Yeah,
Bryce
he
Young
looks
said-
weird in that helmet, man. I'll tell
Bryce
you.
Young said he better take a stand, man. Better take a stand.
Well, he better.
gonna stand up.
We'll see what happens with him. 49ers destroyed the Cardinals. Not much to talk about there.
Of course, it's the Niners, baby.
Cowboys dismantle the Patriots 38-3. I don't have high expectations for the Patriots. I didn't think it'd be that
Mac
bad. but-
Jones.
Mac
Yeah,
Jones
he
is,
might be done.
Listen, Mac Jones is watery boo boo. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man.
Watery boo boo, like running, like he's bad.
All right, well, let's get here 7:40 as we get to our Monday Night Football preview tonight. The Giants and the Seahawks. This
Ugh.
one in New
not
York
watching this.
at MetLife. Seattle -2. Everyone at home, you should check it out. Seattle -2, 46.5. Seattle's won 2 in a row, guys. Carolina and Detroit after dropping that first game to the Rams. 5 of 6 for the Seattle over the Giants. So they've had their number. That only win was that comeback for the Giants over the Cardinals in Week 2. So not really playing up to par after a playoff season last year under Brian Daboll. No Andrew Thomas. Saquon is doubtful in this one. Jamal Adams, guys, is returning tonight for the first time. Jamal Adams, and first time in over a year, he'll be back on the field playing safety.
Wow.
Quandre Diggs is going to play. Tariq Woolen is also back after missing last week. So the secondary gets some guys back. but also not a lot of depth there anyway. Kobe Bryant, Trey Brown, Artie Burns, Draymond Jones, all of them are going to miss the game. So you get guys back, but you also got that depth missing. So we'll see how that affects that Seattle secondary tonight. Guys, initial thoughts before we get into our no-huddle NASCAR picks for
this is Gino's return home. That's all I'm going to say.
Right. That's right.
He played for both the Jets and the Giants.
Revenge game?
It's a revenge game for Gino.
All right, Matt, what do you think here, Giants in Seattle?
I think Daniel the Thief Jones is going to be trash, just like he is in real life. Trash.
Well, then let's jump into some of these no-huddle questions for you. And it's going to start with Daniel Jones tonight, guys. 234.5 passing yards, over/under, Jason.
Over on because the Seattle's pass defense is that suspect right now.
I'm going to say over. Under? All right, Matt, more completions. Daniel Jones or Geno Smith? Who gets more completions?
Gino.
Gino.
More rushing yards. Daniel Jones or Matt Breida, Jason?
Me.
I'm going DJ, Daniel Jones. I gave him a nickname there. He doesn't deserve that.
Danny Dimes is going to get yards?
Danny Dimes. I think he'll get rushing yards. I think I'm more than Breida. I don't know if
Danny Slime is
for the
more like it.
49er, I'm going Jones.
I'm going Breida, man, because he shares my first name.
And he's a former 49er.
And he's a former 49er.
I'm going Breida, too.
Breida, give me Daniel Jones. DK Metcalf, 74.5 yards, over/under. Receiving, Matt.
Under.
Over. Darren Waller, 51.5 yards. Slow start for the tight end here with the Giants.
It's going to continue. Under.
Yeah, continue.
Give me the over. Take advantage of this Seattle secondary. We'll see if Jamal Adams takes them a little while to get going. More receptions, Waller or Tyler Lockett?
Lockett.
Give me Waller. He'll throw him 5-yard passes all night here. Gino, over/under, 247.5 yards. Over. Anytime touchdown guy who scored tonight.
Kenneth Walker.
Disley.
Is he still on the roster?
Well, yeah,
that's not a bad pick if he is. Give me.
Shout out my boy Will Disley.
I'm going to say DK Metcalf because
my boy
I didn't
Blue.
have a bad game tonight. X Factor. What is your area of the game you guys are paying attention tonight? What's going to be the difference?
Pass rush for both teams. Whoever can get to the quarterback first will win the game.
To me, I'm with you. I'm going offensive line for the Giants. They got to give
That's
Daniel
what I was
Jones
about to
time.
say,
They're
offensive line.
limping on. Andrew Thomas, left tackle, is out tonight. Evan Neal's been struggling. We'll see if they give Daniel Jones some time to throw here in this one. All right, picks. Here we go. We talked about the line already. You want them straight up. You're going to take Seattle with the points. Seattle -2 on the road here in this one.
Favorite, yeah. I'm taking Seattle.
With the 2?
With the 2.
Yep.
Give me the Giants. I know. It's one of those games where my whole mind is telling me Seattle, and I just think somehow the Giants are going to win. I don't know how. I don't think they should, but they're going to win tonight.
Do y'all know Daniel Jones' record in prime time?
No, I do not, but I have a.
He's like 1-7 or something like that in prime time.
Kirk Cousins Jr.?
Yeah. He's Kirk Cousins Jr.
Oh,
Yeah, he really is.
I'm not going to change my pick, but I'm thinking maybe.
He's Kirk Cousins Jr. in prime time.
Damn. Well, closing words, guys. We round out quickly. Matt and Jason, I want to get your opinions here quickly.
You got some time, brother. Wait a minute. I got to give me a little more time here. I got to talk about this here. Drew Holiday, everyone.
And that's where I was going. We have to touch on the NBA. Before I take Drew Holiday to Jason, I'm going to ask Matt this one.
Yeah.
Dame Lillard finally gets dealt. We were wondering, everybody kind of anticipating it would be Miami, but we have a 3-team trade. So they get the Suns involved, who I think made out pretty good in this one. They get Nurkic, Nasir Little, Keon Johnson, and Grayson Allen. They needed some depth over there in Phoenix. Milwaukee, of course, gets Damian Lillard. And then the Trailblazers get Drew Holiday, who we'll talk about. DeAndre Ayton now his new home. Tumani Kamara, a 2028 first-round pick swap from Milwaukee, a first-round pick from Milwaukee, and another first-round pick swap from the Bucks in 2030. Your just initial reactions to this trade? Did you maybe even think about the Bucks as a team that he could have been a part of? And just your thoughts on the landscape of the Eastern Conference and the NBA overall after this one.
I mean, the Phoenix Suns have basically done a complete revamp. I mean, I think only Booker is there from when they went to the finals.
Wow.
Yeah.
Other than Keon Johnson, who I think has a little potential, he's a real bouncy, athletic guy. I'm not really thrilled about Grayson Allen. Nurkic doesn't. Nurkic, because he's injured all the time. I mean,
if he can stay healthy and just give them minutes, they're going to need him to. Because if not, then they'll be struggling.
And Nasir Little was.
It's Nasir Little. Yeah.
but I think really at the end of the day, Dame Lillard's about to find out, heavy is the head that wears the crown, because he can't sit there and say, well, I'm in Portland. And it's kind of crazy to say that because he's in Milwaukee. But he's in Milwaukee with another guy that people have high up there. So expectations are going to be attached to Dame Lillard for the first time that he's ever played with before. So I think that all the pressure's on him. I do think losing Holiday from Milwaukee is way bigger than they've even postulated in their metrics when they sat there and they came up with this. I think the thing that people don't understand about Drew Holiday is, though, while he may not be the best offensive weapon, his defense is so underrated that it literally changed the scale of the games that he's in. And that was really the big difference. You know, Bucks for a couple years really struggled to find an alternative to Malcolm Brogdon. And it wasn't until they got Drew Holiday who gave the offense that they missed with Brogdon, but also better defense. Oh, yeah. That is going to be huge for them. And the fact they lost that is going to have some effects.
I'll say this. I love the trade for all three teams, honestly. I think with Portland, you got quite a few players back. I think all Ayton needs is a change of scenery. I think from going to high school in Phoenix, playing college ball, University of Arizona, him going to the Phoenix on the first pick, I think the hometown syndrome got to him a little bit where it was too much pressure for him. And I think he cracked under pressure, and some people do. So I think him going to change the scenery. He gets to be himself. Next, calling himself dominating, which is funny to me. I'd like to trade for all teams. I look at Lillard going to Milwaukee like another person who left finally after years of playing in one city. Reminds me of KG leaving Minnesota in 07.
Don't do that.
I'm not saying they're going to win championship,
but
I'm saying it has that same feeling of you finally got out. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, okay, I'm with you on that. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, okay, you finally heard what we all heard and what we all saw.
I'm with you.
Get out.
Yeah.
You know, he finally didn't look into the light, you know. he's all right now. But I think, like you said, the defensive fall off is going to be significant. But offensively, Milwaukee's going to be even.
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at them, right, the last couple of years, they were a top 5 defensive team. You know, Brook Lopez was unbelievable defensively last year. Obviously, Giannis is Giannis, and Drew Holiday. Those three alone were so good, you know, defensively. That's why they're.
But now you have 4 out of 5 3-point shooters in the lineup.
And that's the thing. Drew Holiday, one of the best catch and shoot 3-point shooters.
But even Dame. But now you can throw out Dame can shoot in the starting 5. You got Pat Connaughton's probably going to slide into a starting spot. You got a Middleton and you got Lopez. You got 4
Bobby
3-point.
Portis, your 6th.
Then you got off the bench. You got Port. Like you have 3-point shooters still on that roster. So I think what the Bucks will probably have to do, they're gonna have to play one of the other Antetokounmpo brothers at some point because of their depth. They're gonna have to, and we're gonna see what it look like.
Oh, well, what do you think, Matt?
I mean, am I lying though?
Let me ask you, like, what's your prediction for the Bucks this year? I mean, obviously you're going to be up there in the Eastern Conference or whatever. Are they a team that you have picked to get to the NBA Finals or to win the Finals this year?
I think they can, sure. I mean, look, it's to me, it's not even about Dame. It's about the health of Middleton.
Yes.
That becomes big
that's
now
the key. I don't care if Dame and Giannis stay healthy. They need to have a third guy that comes in there and really alleviate some of that pressure. And Middleton is the guy that can do that. Yeah.
Again, you said losing Drew Holiday is going to be a big loss for them
But
defensively. And again, this is where I think, because after Drew Holiday was, traded to the Portland, as, reported, it was a fire sale for Holiday. Or, teams were going right after him. Who was it going to be? That was like, it was almost considered a bigger deal than Lillard getting traded to the Bucks because who was going to get Holiday. And I will start off, before I send it to you, Jason, to say this was Maurer needed this one. I really did. I thought they needed to get Drew Holiday. I thought if they did it, they were going to be absolutely done. And I think now when you look at the landscape of the Eastern Conference, it's obviously Milwaukee and Boston. The Sixers are levels below those two teams. But Drew Holiday becomes a Boston Celtic, Jason. When I saw that, it ruined my weekend.
Listen.
To me, Jason, before I start, I think I like the Celtics more than Milwaukee. I just think Boston is going to be a better team next year, even with Dame going to Milwaukee. Take it away, Jason. Your Celtics got Drew Holiday, made a couple big offseason acquisitions. How you feel about
I
it?
think the Celtics have slightly more depth than the Bucks, but I think it's going to be Bucks Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals.
I do too.
I think that, and
the Heat and the Sixers can have a
And-
year off.
I know a lot of people were saying, well, you gave up Robert Williams. Yeah, he's off the court just as much as he's on the court, so it's kind of a wash. And, you gave away Brogdon. You gained, what you gained in Drew is a combination of Brogdon and Smart put together. So it's like you getting a better player combo by bringing in Drew Holiday. Then you have, imagine the passing lanes this year where you have Drew Holiday and Derek White and Jaylen Brown playing passing lanes perimeter defense this year, and Porzingis put together a 23-8 season last year, and he's a decent shot blocker when he feels like playing defense. So I feel like the Celtics got better offensively, and there's a reason for that because when you saw the Celtics the last 2 years, there were lulls in the third and fourth quarters of games where you're like, what offense is this? And I think now with the players that you added, you'll see a freer flowing offense. You'll see more ball movement, and you'll see play. Okay, look, Tatum, take over now. We can spot up. Everybody can shoot.
And the defense improves now with Drew Holiday as well.
Yeah.
And like I said, Drew Holiday is a 20-point scorer and can stop your opposing player from scoring 20 points. So that's rare. He's probably the best two-way point guard outside of, so, but for y'all,
This is burning, Nick.
so, I mean,
man, it gets a little season. I don't have to watch basketball this year. That's all it is.
and then your boy didn't show up
Saves me
today.
some time.
Look, and then your boy didn't show up today for media day.
It's here. Harden skips media.
He skipped media day.
James Harden.
And again, and him doing this, obviously, you don't
Just
want
go
to
to
say.
China, bro.
Shanghai Sharks, baby.
Just go to China.
Second,
bro.
2 out of the last 3 years where the starting point guard for the Sixers have not reported to media day.
Oh, wow.
Ben Simmons being, of course, the other. But Matt, I guess like you said, I think the Sixers and the Heat probably continue. You saw Emo Jimmy today at media day for the Miami Heat. Anybody take a look at Emo Jimmy?
Go.
I saw Jermaine Stewart. We don't have to take our clothes off, Jermaine Stewart. I saw him, Listen,
It's pretty sad they didn't get there.
I don't know what he's trying to do, but I'll say this.
Come back to Philly?
He's fitting in because
I'm sad too, Jimmy. That's right. I'll be right there with you for this year.
That's
Jimmy, I will say this about Jimmy. For the first time I've ever seen in my life, Jimmy, I don't know how I want to say it. I'm just going to say it. He bitched up. This guy.
He's taking some of my juice today. So there you go.
Tough,
Get fired up.
Usually tough. Usually got all this macho-ness.
He had the piercings and everything.
Bull had the piercings, had the Connor haircut.
That was
got the
haircut.
The silk press. That was a silk press.
And then on top of that, did you guys see the interview where he kind of was hinting that Milwaukee tampered?
Yeah.
Like, dog, come on, bro.
He's in his feelings, man. He's in his feelings.
Listen,
right
he a little too much in his feelings. He hang around Dwayne Wade and them a little too much.
Yeah.
He knows. He has the same thing as me. He knows that they don't have to.
Nah,
play
I
this
don't. I don't like it. I don't like it. I'm just being PC. I just don't like it. That's all I'm gonna say. But yeah.
We don't have to take our clothes off. There you go, man.
And again, NBA, we'll be
Jermaine
doing
Stewart,
our
baby.
NBA preseason or a preview just around a couple weeks. I believe 3 weeks away from opening week for the NBA.
But before we leave tonight, I'm telling y'all this is gonna be the best WNBA finals matchup we've ever seen between the Liberty and the Aces. It's gonna be must-see TV. I love the Aces. I do. I like as a team.
This has me thinking he's going to
I love the Aces, but
Sabrina?
it's Stewie and Sabrina's time. The Liberty will be the last original WNBA franchise to win a championship, and they end that drought this year. They're the last original franchise not to win a championship.
I'm going to go with the Liberty too, man. How you feeling on the Aces?
Nah, I'm going Aces, bro.
And then
I ain't got
quickly-
no faith in Sabrina Ionescu, man.
It's Stewie for me.
Got her.
It's Stewie's
and
legit.
Bet Naja Lacey. And those are we got. Okay.
And before we get out of here, who wins the Eastern Conference
For
for the NBA?
Celtics.
Milwaukee.
I'm going Boston. I think the Pacers. I think the Celtics.
Who wins the West? He said,
Phoenix or Denver.
I heard Denver back there.
Phoenix
No,
or Denver.
they don't repeat.
No repeat.
No repeat.
Well, we'll have a lot to talk about the NBA in a few weeks, but that'll
I'm
do
gonna
it
go.
for us here tonight.
I'm going history. I'm going Celtics Lakers again.
Oh, that's what you went last year, right? That's
did.
what
I was
you
doing it
last year.
again.
Well, we'll run it back then. We'll see. But I'll
Lakers.
tell you one thing, guys. It's not going to be the Sixers. They won't be in the finals.
Hell no, y'all might be playing for
Haven't been to
lottery
conference
pick.
championship since 2001. The Kings have been there more recently. That'll do it for us tonight on a Monday. Check out some Monday Night Football, Giants and Seahawks. Maybe you'll hear from us again this week. We'll see. But that'll do it for all of us here at DETV, including our fantastic producer, Dennis. We will see you next time. Giants and Seahawks. Will Harden ever get to training camp?
Nope.
Go O's.
Unless you got a strip club.
And Phillies. Go Phillies tomorrow night as well. O's and Phillies. That'd be a great World Series. We got a Phillies-Orioles World Series.
Yeah, only on PS5 though. It's okay.
Yeah.
We'll see you next time.